Okay, so I was it honestly this is a bitch to record, okay? Because this isn't like an opinion piece, this isn't just me giving my thoughts. So it's borderline impossible to just do this off the cuff. I have to read off a script, otherwise I'm going to get something wrong. There's a lot of nuance to this. I don't want to get anything wrong. So get ready for a very robotic explanation as to what's going on here, all right? And before I say anything, it should be a no-brainer. Just don't go out of your way and be an ass to anyone that appears in this video. Don't be a jerk. Don't harass anyone. It's so exhausting having to say this every fucking time, but no one seems to get the hint. It's not that hard. Keep it to yourself. My God, just don't do it. Okay, so I decided to make this video because a couple people reached out to me and they needed my help, so I'm gonna lend them a hand. Another reason why I'm making this video is because what's happened here serves as a very good example as to why artists should take extreme caution when it comes to working with clients, especially online. It also serves as a very good example as to why everyone should do their homework before engaging in collaborative efforts with anyone, especially strangers, online, offline, any kind of collaboration or any kind. Be careful out there, kiddos, because you don't know who the fuck you're running into, okay? So, on to the script here. Please bear with me. This is a follow-up video that I made about the curious case of commissioned workshop items, alright? Please go watch that video first, otherwise you're going to have no idea as to what I'm talking about here. But since many of you will inevitably not go and watch that first video, here's a quick rundown, alright? An individual by the name of Scout Time commissioned an artist to make a war paint. This war paint you're looking at right here on my screen. Scout Time paid $70 for the artwork that makes the textures on this war paint. This value, this $70, was accepted by the artist who then made the textures for that value. Scout Time also had someone else help out. A third individual put Scout Time into contact with the artist and basically organized this whole collaborative effort to create this war paint. Scout Time wanted to upload this war paint to the community workshop, and all three of the guys, the organizer, the artist, and Scout Time, were totally okay with this, okay? However, all three of them were not familiar with how the workshop works. This is very important. The item was uploaded to the workshop by Scout Time, effectively just the concept holder, only contributing the idea of the war paint, the icy theme, I guess you can say, right? He assigned himself as the only creator of the war paint, the only contributor, and only gave written credit to all of the other people involved inside the description of the item. Meaning, if this war paint were to be accepted into the game, Scout Time would receive all of the revenue, and he would also receive a self-made version of the item, which was his primary motivation behind the creation of this war paint. His primary motivation behind commissioning this war paint was so he could receive a one-of-one self-made skin. Those are his words, not mine. Also very important. This whole debacle caught my eye because it's not normal to commission items on the workshop, especially for just getting your own one-of-one self-made, like you're buying a toy from Walmart to show off to your friends. That doesn't really sit well with me, and if you want my in-depth thoughts on commissioning items and how strange that is, just go and watch my first video, but just to briefly summarize this. All contributors should receive proper credit. They should all receive a self-made, they should all share in the potential earnings, based on the amount of work they do, or whatever amount they agree upon and negotiate together. That's the important part. But Scout Time didn't do this. Neither did the artist, nor did this third guy, the organizer. All three of these guys involved made this bizarre prior agreement beforehand to set it up this way, to have Scout Time be the only contributor on the workshop because they did not know how the workshop works. I chalked all of this up as a very naive series of actions on the part of all three of these guys, thanks to their inexperience with the workshop, and that's just how it was. I made my video, I put it up, and that was it, alright? Since the release of that video, Scout Time removed the war paint from the workshop and then re-uploaded the war paint. This time, he gave proper credit to all of the people involved. The version you're seeing right now is this newly uploaded version, meaning if this version were accepted into the game now, all parties involved, Scout Time, the artist, and the organizer, would all receive a self-made and a share of the revenue. So great, that's it. Problem solved. All is well now. What should have been done from the start, which is giving proper credit where credit is due, and giving everyone the potential cut of the revenue, is now done. So there really should be no issues. That should be the end of the story. Now shit is about to get a little bit messy, because this isn't the end of the story. So, bear with me here. One of the Warpaint's contributors reached out to me a couple days ago. His name is Chrono. This is the guy that organized the creation of the Warpaint. He's the guy that put Scout Time into contact with the artist. The artist also reached out to me alongside Chrono, but he asked to remain unnamed, so I'm not going to show his name anywhere in this video. Chrono was upset when he came into contact with me, and he showed me this screenshot. Chrono, the organizer of the collaboration of this Warpaint, the commissioning of this Warpaint, is to receive only 1% of the potential revenue. Okay, the artist who made the Warpaint is only going to get 10% of any potential revenue. Scout Time, who just came up with the idea for the Warpaint and also paid the $70 for the commissioning of the textures, is to receive 89% of the potential revenue. Okay? There would be no issues here. There would be no problems here if all three of these guys had negotiated and agreed upon these values. But this didn't happen, okay? After my first video, Scout Time received advice from the TF2 Emporium, which is just a group of workshop creators that make items for TF2. They've been doing it for over a decade. They're very experienced with how this whole system works. Scout Time received advice from the TF2 Emporium. Only Scout Time, not the artist, nor the organizer, nor Chrono. All right. The Emporium expressed their shock, their bewilderment, I guess, I'm not sure the right word, at the $70 commission price for the Warpaint, which is extremely low if you know how much revenue that an item could generate once accepted into the game. One accepted item could generate about 4 to 5 figures in US dollars, thousands of dollars. But due to inexperience, Scout Time didn't know this, nor did the artist, nor did Chrono. Scout Time was informed that this $70 is extremely low because it could actually be thousands of dollars if the item were to be accepted. The Emporium also advised Scout Time as to how to properly submit an item and to, of course, credit all parties involved, as is common practice for all workshop submissions. Scout Time, now fully familiar with how the workshop works, took this advice, and instead of going back to Chrono and back to the artist to inform them, he took it upon himself to not only re-upload the Warpaint, but to also determine the revenue cuts for each party, without first informing the other two parties, the organizer, Chrono, and the artist, about the potential revenue that an item can generate. Nor did he negotiate the prices, the percentages of the potential revenue with these guys. No negotiations were ever held. So, neither the artist nor Chrono the organizer understood how much money was going to be involved. The first time they were fully aware of their percentage cuts, again, chosen by Scout Time without negotiation first, was when they received the email notification that Valve sends out when you are added as a contributor to a workshop item. This then takes you to a Steam page where the terms are all laid out, the percentages are laid out, and then you accept it. Unfortunately, given their lack of experience with the workshop, Chrono and the artist didn't understand what they were looking at, nor how any of this worked. They just accepted the terms without doing their homework, so to speak. This was their fuck up, okay? But later on, concerned about the percentages they had agreed to, they got back into contact with Scout Time after the fact because they were thinking that, hey, maybe these percentages could be changed. to which Scout Time said no, among other things. This refusal to change these percentages led for Chrono and the artist to get into contact with me. They explained this entire situation that I just explained to you now, and of course, vented their justly due frustrations. Okay? Chrono and the artist just want their fair share of the potential revenue, for which, again, negotiations never took place. Chrono also explained how he was pressured by Scout Time into accepting these terms, the percentages, in order to avoid drama, which is just it's very stupid. Just, you should fight it anyways. Fuck drama and what people say. It's dumb. Advising him on that, I told Chrono, hey, these percentages are not set in stone. You should fight for your share regardless of whatever drama may ensue. You're owed for your time, right? An item can be removed from the workshop and then resubmitted with new percentages. It's perfectly doable, right? So I told Chrono, ask Scout Time if he can remove the item and then re-upload it with proper shares that the three parties negotiate and agree upon. To which Scout Time refused again, claiming that the 11% cut was to just be nice and to patch up drama, also citing that he didn't want to lose any likes, favorites, or awards that the Warpaint had accrued. So all three parties did not negotiate on agreeable terms, and the submitter, Scout Time, is the one holding all the cards because he's refused to do so twice. Now we have a problem. Just a moral problem, not a legal problem. Because legally, Scout Time commissioned this piece, this Warpaint, for $70. He holds zero obligation to give anyone a larger cut, especially because the artist agreed to the amount that he was being paid, and since the artist and the other contributors agreed to the terms laid out inside of the Steam agreements that were sent to them, right? Despite them not understanding what was going on, they still accepted the terms. Again, their fuck up. So, that's it, right? It's shitty, it's a shitty situation, but there's nothing that can be done. That would be the case, however, if Scout Time actually paid the $70, if he actually was the sole owner of the artwork he paid for. He doesn't own the artwork. He only paid $20. Chrono, the organizer, paid the other $50. These two guys came to this payment agreement after Scout Time agreed to partake in another collaboration with Chrono, I assume on YouTube. This collaboration agreement was long before any of them understood the potential revenue that an item could generate. Scout Time was informed and then did not go back to inform Chrono, of course. So in exchange for exposure, Chrono contributed $50 to the commission, found the artist, and organized the entire thing. And so far, Scout Time has not followed through on his promise of a collaboration. Again, I assume, on YouTube. Oh my god. Okay, so in summary, Scout Time paid for less than 30% of the commission price for the Warpaint. Scout Time did not inform the organizer, Chrono, who paid the other 70% of the commission's price, nor the artist, about the potential revenue that an item can generate, after being informed by the TF2 Emporium. Scout Time re-uploaded this Warpaint, the one you see now, without first contacting the other two contributors to discuss how the workshop works, nor to negotiate their cuts. He set the revenue cuts, opting to take 89% of the revenue for himself, giving the artist 10% and Chrono 1%. And when asked to change these values, he has refused twice. Unfortunately, Chrono's and the artist's hands are a little bit tied in this situation because they can't get Scout Time to negotiate, so that's why they came to me, because they stated they felt like they had nowhere else to go. Those are the facts. Now for my thoughts on all this, okay? Listen, I'm to be wholeheartedly serious here, I'm not tooting my own horn. I do have a good radar for shady shit like this. This is the first time I had ever seen a commissioned item submitted to the workshop. It just doesn't happen. It's the first time I'd ever seen it. It just doesn't happen. It's not normal. Alarms were going off in my head before I even made that first video, right? Especially because the motivation behind the commission was to receive a self-made item to flaunt around, which is very strange. Not to, make a cool item for everyone to enjoy, not to, not to make something for the love of the game, not to, make some money. None of these common motivators were the driving factor here. It seems like Scout Time just wanted the sparkly self-made item for his scout loadout, which is bizarre. Again, you're not like walking into Walmart and buying a toy. That's not how this system works. Money still did not seem like the primary motivator, at least at first, just the acquisition of the one of one's self-made. Until that aspiration completely went out of the window, once the item was resubmitted with multiple contributors, right? After that, I think the gears may have shifted a little bit towards the money, especially because Scout Time took the lion's share of 89% and refuses to change these values, which he can still do. You can still take the item down and resubmit it with these new percentages adjusted with, final values that these guys all agree upon. But that has not been done. And, unfortunately, the real victim here is the artist. There's nothing this artist can do. He's kind of fucked. When this artist was commissioned, he was completely unaware of the potential revenue that a workshop item can generate if it's accepted into the game. And this artist did not have any policies in place in regards to royalties or flat payments from monetized artwork. Like art for a t-shirt, for example, for which artists typically ask for a flat price based on the potential revenue that t-shirt sales could generate, or in some cases, they ask for royalties. This artist only agreed to the $70 from Chrono and Scout Time, very important fact, paid for by two individuals, not just Scout Time, and the artist only knew that this item was going to be uploaded to the workshop. He did not understand what any of that entailed. No contract is being violated with this artist. He is simply a victim of his own inexperience. He did not do his homework. He didn't understand where his art was going, and he didn't have usage policies in place to protect himself from cases like this. He's kind of fucked. Legally speaking, both Chrono and Scout Time control where the revenue goes. They both paid for the commission. They both own this artwork. Not just Scout Time. Because, again, Chrono paid 70% of the commissioned Warpaint's price and organized his creation. Scout Time only paid for 30%. Therefore, Chrono is due 70% of the potential revenue, not 1%. Scout Time is due only 30%, not 89%. No amicable agreement was reached as to how the revenue was to be split otherwise. As it stands, again, Scout Time and Chrono own this Warpaint, not just Scout Time. The artist just gets the shaft, because, again, there's just nothing he can do about it. It's really, really shitty that Scout Time did not go back and tell the artist nor Chrono about the potential revenue nor how the workshop works. But Scout Time didn't have a legal obligation to tell the artist. He only had a moral one, again because no contract was being violated. Scout Time did, however, have a legal obligation to inform Chrono, because they are co-owners of this Warpaint. That's where he fucked up. And Chrono wants the artist to receive his fair share. And rightly so, especially after this guy spent hours working on this Warpaint, after, designing the Warpaint, and then reworking it after all the feedback that was sent to him from Scout Time, all the while dealing with a language barrier. My god, that was probably a fucking pain in the ass to do that, man. I've commissioned many artists before. I've dealt with language barriers, and it is a very time-consuming process when you just can't get a message across. And it's very rough on the artist because they're having to constantly tweak things and rework things based off of what is effectively broken miscommunications. It sucks, all right? And this artist got put through the fucking ringer and has nothing to show for it, aside for $70 for his time. That's pretty fucked. And what's really funny is even the artist agrees that Chrono deserves more because, well, he paid for most of the commission, as you know, despite him receiving effectively nothing in the end, if the item were to be accepted, of course. This whole thing just turned into a huge, fucked up mess. But you know what? This whole mess serves as a very good example for all of you artists out there. Be sure to do your homework. Know where your art is going. Make sure that you know what it's going to be used for. Make sure that your client is clear with their intentions, and be sure to have your own policies in place to protect yourself in case they try to pull the wool over your eyes. It's also a very good lesson for all you guys out there looking to do epic collaborations with other people for, whoa, exposure, and whoa, I'm going to work with this guy. Shit like this is why I never collaborate with people, because you just don't know what the fuck people are going to do. Later on or beforehand, right? You just don't know people, especially when money is involved. You have no idea what the fuck they're gonna do. Do collaborations with people you trust, typically your friends, and not just random people you meet online. It's not smart. I mean, that's it. That's it. Oh yeah, there is no industry standard, by the way. Artists can charge whatever they want for their work. Either you pay for it, or you don't.